Just making sure it's on. Hi, I'm Trish. As you can tell, even after a couple of years of doing these videos, I'm a real pro. You should see the setup I've got here. Anyway, I'm 6 weeks and 1 day post laparoscopic assisted vaginal hysterectomy. Well, I can tell this video is going to be spectacular. My words aren't even working. And I had my post-op appointment with the surgeon today. Everything went really, really well. I asked him a million questions. That's a hot tip for anyone who has to deal with any kind of surgeon, medical professional, whatever. Write down your questions because they're very often really pressed for time. And I know my gynecologist, even though he's wonderful, I've been seeing him for years and years and years, he can tend to sort of like rush you through a little bit. So I wrote down all my questions today. Number one, so I wouldn't forget them because my brain is like a sieve lately. And also I took a pen so that I could write down the answers because it's a lot of information to remember. And I know I'd get home and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd ask that question, but I can't remember, you know, what he said about it. And as it was, I forgot to write down a question and forgot to ask him. But I don't know, my GP will probably be able to tell me anyway. I just forgot to ask him why I bled so much. Apparently for laparoscopic hysterectomy, it's normal to bleed up to about 100 mil, which is supposed to be like 3 normal periods. I think I was doing that in half a period, probably even less, like only a couple of days. And with a big open cesarean type cut, you were supposed to lose up to 200 mil, and I lost 400 mil with laparoscopic. So, and I'm not sure why. I didn't need a blood transfusion afterwards, but I had to go to my GP the following week and have an iron infusion. That has well and truly kicked in now, and I'm feeling like so great. I've been back to the gym a couple of times, and I'm not getting out of breath the way I was. My stamina is much better. I'm going up to about 5 or 5.5 kilometres an hour on the treadmill. Before my iron infusion, that would see my heart rate go up well into the 140s, like 145, even up to 150. Since I've had the iron infusion, I can sit on 5.5 kilometres an hour, and my heart rate doesn't go anywhere near that high. Maybe 130, 135. It's really improved it. So a lot of what I thought was lack of fitness before was just lack of oxygen in my blood, lack of iron. So I'll just go through the questions that I asked my surgeon. That'll be easiest, I think, because then I won't forget anything for the video. With my glasses on, I can actually see the screen here. He gave me reports of my surgery. I didn't actually read one of them yet. The good news is they found nothing nasty. I'll just read through the reports. That'll make it easiest. Read through them quickly. Blah blah blah. They said they did the hysterectomy because I had failed endometrial ablation, which we knew. They removed both of my fallopian tubes, my uterus and my cervix, but left my ovaries in there. Oh, that's just about all the ports and stuff they put in. They were very surprised because I've had a lot of abdominal surgeries. If you've watched my other videos about the weight loss surgeries and reconstructive surgeries I have had a lot of surgeries, even like all over, but in my abdominal area, like so many surgeries, I couldn't even, at least 10, and I'm probably being extremely conservative there, very, very conservative. So they were very surprised that there were no adhesions when they went in with the ports. That's why, because they thought they may have to convert to an open surgery for me because they were expecting to find a lot of adhesions, but there were none, and they were very surprised by that. I had my tubes tied last year when I had the endometrial ablation. I had the Filshie clips put onto my fallopian tubes. They were still there and intact, which is a good thing. I've heard of ladies when they've gone in for a hysterectomy and they're supposed to have had these Filshie clips on and they're just gone. They've disappeared and they can't even find them. Mine were there, both removed. a bunch of stuff about the round ligaments and everything. The surgeon who did my surgery said that he doesn't do the he doesn't attach the top of the vaginal vault to the uterosacral ligament, and I was a bit upset about that. And I spoke to my gynecologist today. He doesn't do my surgeries. He's quite old now and doesn't do surgery, but I see him for all my pre and post op appointments and everything. And he said that, because I said to him, he didn't attach the vault to that ligament, and now I'm concerned that my vagina is going to like fall out of my body, and I'm going to get, bowel prolapse and bladder prolapse and everything. And he said, no, settle down, everything's okay. There's more than just the uterosacral ligament in there, and there's plenty of other ligaments that support everything. So he said, I'll be fine. Just saying that my vault was closed with vicryl whatevers. They did a cystoscopy, which is where they put the tube or like the little camera thing into your bladder, just to make sure that everything's still working okay. So the ureter jets were working okay, and there was obviously no blood or trauma to my bladder. Yeah, all the histology results were benign, and I had a couple of small fibroids, which I expected, but there was no evidence of endometriosis or adenomyosis, which surprised me. And my uterus, I think a normal size of a uterus is about 80, or the volume is about 80 mil, I think. Might be lying, so don't take my word for that. Mine weighed 155 grams, so I'm assuming that's the same as volume. So it was really like less than double the size of a normal uterus, which isn't really that big. And that really surprised me, because the last ultrasound I had last year, the volume of my uterus was 220 mil. So it's actually shrunk down a bit, which kind of makes sense, because I've been bleeding for, I don't even know how long I've bled for before this anymore. It's gone. But it was a bit smaller than it was previously. For those playing along at home, my uterus was 9.2 by 5 by 4.2 centimetres, and it weighed 155.4 grams. Cervix was about 3.4 by 4 centimetres. I think that's a little bit big, isn't it? Isn't it meant to only be like 1 or 2 centimetres? I don't know. I will be researching that though to see what the normal size is. My uterus, the surface of my uterus was smooth. My cervix appeared normal. Oh no, sorry, my cervix was 12 mil, 1.2 centimetres. So I was right. It is meant to be about a centimetre, and it was. Oh, ectocervix, that must be like how long it was or something. I don't know. I'm just quickly reading through this. Okay, when they sectioned my cervix, there were multiple cystic areas. They say likely Nabothian cysts, which are completely benign. They're fine, and I knew they were there. A couple of times, because I had my period for so long, I was getting really confused as to whether or not I had a tampon in. So quite a few times I had to go fishing to try to find tampons that I thought I'd lost, and I didn't. I forgot tampons a couple of times, but none of them got lost, but I still had to look for them. And so when I was doing that, I did feel my cervix, and there were all these little hard bumps on it, and I did talk to my GP about that, and she said that it was likely Nabothian cysts, and I said, yeah, I'm not worried, and she wasn't worried, and I figured it was all going to be removed anyway. So that's no surprise there. It says when they sectioned my uterus, there was one polypoid area, 1 centimetre by 0.8 centimetres within my uterus. So that just sounds like I'd say a polyp, polypoid. That'd be a polyp. Again, no surprise there. Plus 1 well circumscribed white lesion within the myometrium of the anterior aspect, measuring 1 centimetre. So that's just a white lump of something in the muscle of my uterus. I don't know. I'm not worried about that because everything was fine. And that's just all measurements of all my other stuff, all my fallopian tubes and blah, blah, blah. There was a fatty area. Don't know what that means. Yeah, and the rest of it, everything's fine. No HPV, several Nabothean cysts, benign squamous epithelium. My uterus must have been gross. Endometrium in areas poorly preserved. That would be because I had the endometrial ablation. There shouldn't have been any endometrium in there at all. Disordered proliferative endometrium. Again, no surprises. No necrosis or hemorrhage. Features are of benign, they call them leiomyomas, but that's just a fancy word for fibroids. Oh, and I had cysts on my fallopian tubes. No malignancy. And that's really the most important thing in the whole report. So the other questions that I asked him that weren't covered in that, I feel I'm getting a bit red, I'm a bit hot. I'm allowed to have a bath tonight. I'm so excited. I got my son, and I haven't had any alcohol since April because I had the sleeve gastrectomy, and then I had the hysterectomy. So I haven't had anything to drink since then. And I did have some elevated liver function from liver enzymes because of all the Panadol I was having. So I've given my liver a really good rest. So I'm going to have a glass of wine, and I'm going to have a glass of red wine in the bath. And I've got some olives and cheese and what else I get? Raspberries and what's it called? Cabana. And my daughter got some chocolate, so she'll give me a little square of chocolate. I'm going to relax so much. I'm going to put a face mask on and a hair treatment, the full bit. I'm allowed to have sex. All the sex I'm allowed to have now that I have no one to have sex with. But, as I said in my last video, I was very, very worried that if I went for a long time without having sex, that, I don't know, that shit would close up and wouldn't work and I'd run into problems and whatever. I forgot to put the warning at the start of the video. I'm going to talk about dildos. Here it comes. Because I knew that I was extremely unlikely to find anyone to have sex with prior to today, when I'm allowed to, and trust me, if I had someone to have sex with, I wouldn't be making this video. I'd be having sex right now, right this second. So I went online to get myself a dildo, which I already mentioned is there's nothing sexy about that for me because that's not what does it for me. Got myself another little treat that does. It's not actually as good as I was expecting it to be. But anyway, so I went online to get myself a dildo for physio, really, just to make sure that everything works and to keep everything open and functional, I guess. And I've never bought a dildo before. I've had some before, but they were like, bought for me or, given to me or whatever. And none of them hit the spot. So I don't know how to buy them. So I went online looking for one. I just wanted something as realistic as possible because if I got to stick something in there to simulate, sex, it might as well be as close to the real thing as possible. So I got something that does, it looks and feels very realistic. And when I was looking for this dildo, I thought back over the penises that I've had through my life, and I picked one that was my favourite, and I just looked for a dildo that was pretty much like that in shape and size. And I think I've overestimated just how gifted this guy was with this penis, because this penis arrived in the mail. The name of it should have given it away for me. It's called King Cock. That should have given it away. But I got it and I saw it and I thought, what the fuck? I might die. I might die. It's much bigger than what I was expecting. So I'll just have to see how I go and maybe order something a little bit smaller. I don't know. Maybe I'll like it. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm going to be a little bit scared. I might have some Panadol before I try it. I don't know. But anyway, that'll do me to make sure that everything stays functional until I can get the real thing. I much prefer the real thing, trust me. What else? Oh, I asked him about pelvic floor exercises because I got so much conflicting information. I'm looking over here because like the hospital gave me this leaflet with what I was supposed to be doing after surgery. I got so much conflicting information about the pelvic floor exercises. Everything from you can start doing them straight away to wait for 6 weeks. So I went in between and I started at about 3 weeks, very tentatively to make sure nothing hurt. Nothing did hurt. Everything felt exactly the same as it did before the surgery. So I've been doing them since then, and I had the confirmation from my surgeon today that I should have been doing them right from the start. So the hospital's getting a letter from me because they've given me just bullshit information. Also, but still, I'm going to get a referral to a women's health physio just to make sure that I am doing them correctly. Apparently, I'm allowed to just cut sick, do whatever I want at the gym now, with the exception of lifting heavy weights. But my surgeon said to me, given my age, because I'm 51, I'm too old to be lifting heavy weights anyway. There's bodybuilders who are much older than me. So I'm going to leave that question for the women's health physio and see what she says. But in the meantime, I'm not going to go too hard. I said to him, can I do planking and stuff? And he said, yeah. I've read that people who've had hysterectomies can't do full planks anymore. So I have found a modified plank that I can do. It's like a plank on my knees. You know, like when you do push-ups, you can do the full push-ups on your toes, or you can do like push-ups on your knees. It's the same thing with planking. You can do planking on your toes, or you can do planking on your knees. So I'm going to do knee planks because I've got to do something. I've got to do something. So yeah, I've been to the gym a couple of times. Actually, the last time I made the video, I think I'd been to the gym that day and I said that I'd done really, really well. Then the next day I bled. So, and it was just, I had a panty liner on, it filled the panty liner, it was just like a gush. And I thought, ooh. So I went to the toilet, panty liner was full of like fresh blood. So I changed to a regular pad, and just over the next 12 to 18 hours, I had just like brown, like that really old blood like that you get at the start and end of your period. Just that brown muck coming out, like really dark brown. And then even that only lasted a day. I only had that one pad on, like a full-size pad for the day. And then I just went back to panty liners. And up until about 3 days ago, I still had like a very, very, very light brown discharge. And I checked that with the gynecologist today. That was just old blood, just a bit of old blood coming away, because I didn't have any fever, I didn't have any pain, I didn't have any other symptoms, so it's not an infection or anything. But even like now, still when I wipe, there's a little bit of discoloration, but there's nothing on my panty liners anymore. So I'm probably going to ditch the panty liners after tomorrow or whenever. Oh, and on the sex, my gynecologist said that when I have sex, at least initially, I might bleed a little bit, but that's okay. I don't have to stop having sex, and I only need to go back and see him if it's a lot, if it's concerning me. So that's all fine. I'm allowed to bend now. I'm allowed to squat, which I've been doing for weeks anyway, because there's shit that you have to get done, like putting your shoes and socks on and loading the dishwasher and stuff. So, but he examined me today and I'm fine. I'm still occasionally getting bladder pain and bowel pain when I wee and when I fart and when I poo, but not all the time. It's only sometimes. And it's just like that. If you've ever had a bladder infection or like a UTI, when it's the sort of pain that you get when you wee and then you're finished weeing and then you get that sort of burn pain for a few seconds. That's what the bladder pain has been like. And sometimes, not all the time, although I fart a lot less since I've had this surgery. But sometimes if I fart or when I poo, I get a really sharp pain, but it only lasts for a couple of seconds. So that'll just be on my intestines and, you know, like everything like dropping down into place, and there'll still be like raw areas and whatever. So he said that should be better over the next month, and I'm not worried about it. He's not worried about it. That's all. I've just got to call him in October to let him know that I'm doing fine, and that's it. I got over that really bad back pain. It's been pretty good. I never really got tired. I didn't need naps as such, and that kind of pissed me off because I had to lay flat on my tummy for an hour every day, which I didn't do. I did, I don't know, every second or third day probably, unless if I did too much, I did get like a heavy ache really low down in my pelvis. On those days, I did lay down on my tummy for an hour, but the rest of the time I didn't. I was too restless. I've been going, as I said, I've been going to the gym a little bit, and I've been going for walks. The walks take me about 40 minutes, but it's not actually a 40-minute walk because I go down, there's a really nice boardwalk along the beach where I live. So I go and I walk along the boardwalk, and then I walk back along the beach if the sand's packed really firm because I can't stand walking on soft sand. But I stop and take photos, and I look for starfish, and you know, I stuff around a lot. So what would ordinarily be probably, I don't know, 25-30 minute walk takes me about 40 minutes. And I've been fine with that. The first couple of times I went out for a walk, it was a bit difficult, but now it's a nice, easy walk for me. I'll be going tonight. I love it. I love that walk. I go at sunset, so I see the sun. The sun goes down over the ocean where I live. It's really, really nice. So that's it. I don't think I'll have any other news for you about this surgery because it's, you know, there's not really anything to say. I don't get periods anymore. I think my uterus must have been full of ice because I don't feel the cold anymore. I used to, through winter, I'd sit on the couch with the heater blasting with a blanket and socks and, you know, like a singlet and a t-shirt and a long sleeve top and then a jumper and like a jacket and with a hot water bottle, and I'd still be freezing cold. Now, like you can see today, I'm just wearing like a long sleeve top and a singlet underneath and jeans, and the heater is on, but I don't feel like I need to go and get a hot water bottle and a blanket and everything. I'm very, very comfortable, and at night time I rarely use my blanket, never use a hot water bottle, and I'm very, very comfortable. As you can see, I'm all flushed. I'm too hot actually because I've got a singlet on. I need to take my singlet off or turn my heater off. So yeah, I think my uterus must have been full of ice. And that's it. This is probably the last video for my hysterectomy, unless people have got specific questions. Or I might make a really quick one. But the first time, like after I actually like get some sex, to let everyone know how that goes, because that seems to be a big thing that lots of ladies who've had hysterectomies are interested in. But you could be waiting a while for that. Anywhere between, you know, a day and another 5 years, going by my previous track record. And for those who are following my weight loss, I have a clinic appointment, not next Monday, but the following Monday. So I'll make a video after that and update everyone on my sleeve surgery and weight loss, which has slowed down to just about nothing. That's it.